as well, the honor students.
Okay, we're live.
Well, big things.
On YouTube.
Hooray.
I'm sure that was picked up by my
I'm sure it was. Shelby's laughing. Are you ready? You're good. Tell me when you're ready.
Kelly, she's probably shaking her head.
Is this mine?
Yes.
It was in my mailbox.
Yes.
So I'm guessing
Yep.
yes.
Okay.
Okay. We will call the Village of Mount Sterling Council meeting for September 12th, 2022 with roll call, please.
David,
Here.
Bill,
Here.
Joyce,
Here.
Becky,
Here.
Rob,
Here.
Andy, all
Here.
present.
Okay. David, could you please?
Lord, thank you for this wonderful day you provide for us, Lord. Lord, be with the council and our mayor and of our village citizens and touch them with your loving hand. And be with our country tonight, Jesus, and touch them. In Jesus' wonderful, wonderful name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone.
Since you guys lowered my chair.
Okay, at this point, I would like to take a motion for the minutes from a council meeting held on August 22nd, 2022.
Motion?
Second?
And Andy second. Roll call?
David,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Joyce,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Andy.
Yes.
Okay, that takes us to the mayor's report. I have a few things I will do in roundtable. Right now, I just wanted to read a quote that kind of applies to us, I think, a little bit in regards to Queen Elizabeth and her passing. One of her quotes was, "I know of no single formula for success, but over the years, I have observed that some attributes of leadership are universal and are often about finding ways of encouraging people to combine their efforts, their talents, their insights, their enthusiasm, and their inspiration to work together." And I encourage council to do just that, and we will all be a better country for it. So I thank you for your service, council. That takes us to our President Pro Tem Report. Mr. Drake?
I see that we have quite a few folks here tonight, so I'm going to skip main comments and hold mine just for the committee reports we have a little bit later.
Okay.
And by the way, welcome to everybody who's here. Thank you for coming out tonight.
All right. So at this point, we do have a public comment and visitors. Mr. Tom Corbin with the Masonic Lodge is here to speak with us this evening. Mr. Corbin?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me again. I apologize for my appearance tonight, but we're working on the haunted house, so, and fixing our building at the same time. Well, this is the third year bringing the haunted house to town again. Had a great reception the first year, obviously, even during COVID. Second year, soaked like rats outside, but we still had a good turnout. This coming year, it's going to be about 3 times as large as what it was before. How many have gone through the haunted house? Okay, what'd you think?
Pretty impressive.
Okay, well, it'll be a total different floor plan now. There's going to be the hallway of infinity where it starts wide and goes narrow. There's a gas swamp with zombies underneath the fog that you will not see until it's too late. There's several different rooms in there. There's lasers. We do watch strobe lights and that type of thing for anybody that may have a medical condition. The other thing that we do, again, if you've been through it, we have people at the beginning and several spots during the show with walkie-talkies, and we say who's coming in. We only allow so many in at once. So like if we have a family coming through with like a little one like this, everybody's already alerted to it, so they don't do some of the things that we normally would do. And then if we have teenagers, particularly smart aleck ones, they get hammered. So, it's really good. So we'll be going through the main building like we did. It'll actually exit out the back, go through a corn maze, come back in the building, come through another section, end up going through the old pet shop, and then back out the front. We'll have concessions again this year. We have joined with the chamber, which I'm a member, and Becky and several others are members of the chamber. They have joined with us. We do need help, volunteers. On the 25th of September, which is next weekend, I think. At 1 o'clock at the lodge, we're gonna have a meeting for anybody that would like to volunteer. We'll have a lot of the walls and everything done and up, kind of walk you through, show what's going on, and to see what you can do. I mean, we need actors, we need people in concessions, we need people just to sometimes walk with little ones through. You know, there's a lot of things. On an average, last year, it took 21 people at any given time to run the haunted house. So you can imagine we're 3 times as big now, it's gonna take more. With the help of the chamber, we're going to have kids events out on the street, which that's why I'm here tonight too, about the street. And if Barbie is successful, we'll have the jump house and some other things. And if you recall last year, what I had talked about was we were moving towards where we would like to have a long festival, like Wednesday through Sunday, that type of thing, similar to Summer Jam scale. This is getting there quick. If you happen to go out on the internet and go to Ohio Haunted Houses, you will see us on there this year. So statewide, they know about us. Even in Indiana, we have some people coming down from Michigan, which we may let them in, we may not, depending on it.
That's how they dress.
Will they be dressed as Wolverines?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe hunters, some are filled with a shotgun. But there's a lot of things. We're advertising a lot of different places. It's free, again, we do not charge. We do put donation buckets out. If somebody wants to donate, that's fine. One of the things that I have to get with the community center yet is I'd like to see about getting you know, some type of food donation, that type of thing to help those things. So our whole idea as a lodge and as a chamber is to give back to the village and the surrounding area. We do a lot of things. I don't know how many people are familiar with our Masonic Lodge here in town. We've been in existence for 163 years here in Mount Sterling. We were originally in literally the blacksmith shop over on Main Street back in the 1800s. And then we moved over to where we're at now. We've been here, oh gosh, forever and a day. So a long, long time. We continue to grow. We have a lot of younger members in now. We have more and more. We had some come over after the haunted house and knock on the door and say, how do we join? We like what you guys are doing. So it's a good thing. We give away dictionaries to Madison Plains 3rd grade class every year. We've done that for the last 23 years. We'll be doing that again here pretty soon. So we're totally charity towards the area. We like, obviously, what we do, and we try and help every way we can. It's a free thing that we do, and we're going to continue to do it that way as long as it's possible. And it's working out. As I say, the chamber's helping us this year too. So what I'd like, somebody would make a motion that we need to close the streets again, just the street, I should say, Lemon Street, from basically the Dairy Freeze down to the hardware store. Ideally, it'd be nice if we could close it on Thursday, which would be, I think, the 27th, I think, because we actually start on the 28th. Yes, that would be on the 27th. If not, then 9 o'clock on the 28th. And we make sure that we are totally done and off the streets normally by 6 on Sunday. Because our times, again, in the chamber book, it says 4 to 10 on Friday and Saturday, 2 to 4 on Sunday. But what we do is we run until everybody's happy and they're done. So it might be 11, it might be midnight, doesn't, whatever it takes on us.
So is that October 30th at 6 PM or AM?
No, October 30th will be,
Through October 30th?
correct, until 6 PM.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Yeah, because we'll be there 2 to 4, and the chamber is sponsoring a costume contest for adults and children. So it'll be 2 different ones, because obviously the next day is Halloween, so it'll work out really well that way.
Is there a time on the 27th that you would like?
Ideally, 5 o'clock, or basically when the guys leave. That would be nice if they close the street down.
Thursday.
And that way we can start setting up, because last year, I think we had it, what, at 11, I think, or on the same day we
Yeah.
opened, and we really were hustling to try and get everything done, because, you know, we have 2 40-foot tents that we put up, and all the concessions, we have all the DJ stuff that we set up, and speakers, outside stuff, and it poured down rain the whole time.
Tom, I gotta give you a compliment too. I remember last year, some of my neighbors went clear down the basin behind their haunted house. They said it wasn't as good as what you put on here.
Thank you.
And if you can make them do that and scare them that good, I appreciate that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause but they enjoy being scared and you do a good job.
Well, as I say, there's actually a couple haunted houses in Columbus that are coming down to view ours, because we actually have more turnout and response than they
Sunday at
do.
6.
And they said that our events are more Halloween scary than what theirs are. So they're coming down to see what we do and go from there, which is a compliment.
Yeah.
So the motion on the table is to close the streets between, Church Street and Houston Street to Main and London Street.
Somebody wanna make that
Wait.
motion?
I'll
And
make that
that's
motion.
from-
Oh,
Yeah, so
Sorry.
Church Street, the Dairy Freeze, to the Wraps.
Okay, just that London Street.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's October the 27th from 5 PM through October the 30th at 6 PM.
Correct.
and so,
I'll make the motion.
okay,
I'll second it.
Rob, Becky?
Can we have discussion?
yes.
Thank you. Hi, Tom.
Hi, how
Good
are
to see
you?
you. I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for coming in. I think what you're doing for the community is wonderful. But again, I still have a concern about closing down the streets. And so my question to you this year is, last year, we had a lot of complaints, a lot of positive, but then we had the residents, we had a lot of residents complain in that the roads weren't marked so that they could be aware of the detours. And I think mainly what they're referring to are truck drivers. So my question to you is, what is the plan for making sure that when these trucks come through town and think they're going to go straight through 56, what is the plan? Because apparently, and I don't remember, what was explained to me was the signs were there that said road closed, but there weren't any detour signs to follow.
Well, I can answer it in this format. One, we had signs initially when it was closed, and we had caution tape and cones initially when it was closed. And some of those disappeared. Now, where they went, I don't know. Because I know I went myself and bought more tape and put more tape up to keep people from coming through. We had the same issue at Summer Jam, and with that, we ended up putting more signs up, and I'm assuming that the village has some signs, and did we get those from ODOT, Becky, you remember?
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I could just add on to what Tom's saying. So once we approve this for the Masons and the Chamber to do this, then kind of the village, we take on the responsibility of closing the roads and marking the roads. So that's on us, and I feel like every year we do better and better with it, and the sheriff's there and telling them, especially in the beginning. I mean, the guys put up signs that say one way, and it shows them which way to go. We hang the no parking on the corners so the trucks can make the clearance there and stuff. So basically, the burden of that would be on the village to
Okay.
do the markings for
And I'll
the,
direct that to the village.
And
yes.
just to elaborate some on that, the first year, we didn't close the street.
right.
Right.
And the problem was, is everybody had such a good time, they kind of closed the street. We had zombies dancing in the street, and we had other people dancing in the
Kids
street.
trying to run across.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had kids going across. And as an example, last year, even though we had blockades up, we had one gentleman, and thank God for Kelly Sparks, with the Sheriff's Department. She's normally our deputy that's there, along with everybody else dropping in here and there. There was a fellow that came off from around, he ran literally the blockade at the hardware store. And he started right down the center of the street, it wasn't even on one side or the other, coming right for everybody, tents and all. And the tents were all the way across the street. And Kelly literally was going to sacrifice herself, and she stopped, just jumped right in front of his car and stopped him. And this guy just looked at her and said, "Well, I didn't know you had anything going on."
Whoa.
So- Yeah, exactly. So that's why we like to have the barriers as far away from the actual activities as possible. Now, we use some of that area, but if something does go awry, we have a chance to stop what's happening before it gets to the actual people. And it makes sense just to stop it at that point.
We've had a fair amount of input from residents also over the last 2 years as to maybe route modifications we might be needing to make. And thanks to Jack,
Right.
with this past one,
Right.
we've done a little bit of tinkering. We need to revisit that for sure.
Okay.
And 5 weeks maybe to go? Is it about 5 weeks out? We're about 5 weeks
Roughly.
out? Yeah, we should be able to,
So as a council, we're gonna meet, or the village, or
well,
Be Tom's
be Tom?
yeah,
Okay.
we can sit down with Jack, especially, and Kelly if she's
Yeah, Jack.
around, and we
Okay.
can work out appropriate routing that works as best as we can make it.
Well, and then my only other, and it's always going to be an issue with me, is the Sunday morning parking for our church. I believe it was last year, Mick and I we just moved them and let everybody park there. And then after church, we moved them back.
We don't have any issues with that. Again, it's mainly when the function is going on that we're concerned. And for the Sunday, again, we're not going to start until 2 o'clock, so we're okay with that. And we're only running 2 hours on Sunday. And then we start breaking down, that's what we need the 4 hours for, to try and start breaking down, or the 2 hours afterwards to start to break down. But the same thing during Summer Jam, we had an empty spot area between the stage that we set up and then down to the roadblock. So handicap, what have you, if they need to come in, we help them come in and park them, help them get out, do whatever needs to be done. We'll do the same thing with this.
Is there any other questions?
Well, my only other question would be in front of the Sterling Bluegrass Jamboree. Are we going to fix that so it doesn't affect that business as well?
Well, it doesn't go down that
This
far.
one
We don't
was-
even.
Okay,
yeah,
good,
We're only
good.
on London Street only.
Okay,
We block it off. And
Okay.
the other thing too is, there'll be another diagram in the messenger, which she got it in a little late the last time, which still had our schedule and everything, but didn't have the diagram, so we'll have a
Okay.
diagram in this time that helps again, so it'll go to everybody's house.
okay, good, good.
Is there any other questions? If not, we'll proceed with roll call.
Okay, David,
Yes, and I like the Wolfman too, so yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Joyce,
Are we just voting on the closing the streets? No.
Becky,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
motion's passed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If you need anything else from me?
No, not this time.
I do have one comment.
Sure.
You had a water leak out there Saturday, you shut your water down,
Yeah,
it's still shut off,
no,
they turn back on? for you?
yep, I took my gun, I pointed it at them, and they said, right
Yeah, I
now.
mean, we left it off, because that fellow wanted it off, so, but.
That was us, yeah. We didn't want to take a chance. Again,
Funny, that
our building's like everybody else.
Actually happens sometimes, it's not.
And we raised the meter up because we knew that was where the shut off was, but it
Yeah,
was
we
flooded.
appreciate it if you don't do that.
Yeah, well, we understand, but that, unfortunately, it was the only way to turn anything off, and as well as we couldn't. Because it was flooded, as soon as we saw water in the hole, we said, no, we're not messing with this. And then we started calling Becky and Courtney and Marcy and everybody else, and got that taken care of, which we appreciate, and we fixed the plumbing issue inside. It was actually inside the pet grooming shop, and got that taken care of, and we're good to go. So we appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Corbin.
Thanks.
Hey, Tom,
Thank
take care.
you.
We'll see you at the Halloween house.
Okay, well.
Skip to the next one. Is there another one?
Yeah, that's good. So, I can't find the paper you signed in on, Greta. Oh, there you are. So now we have Greta Mayer, 599 Winona Drive, Fairborn, Ohio. And she is here to talk about mental health resilience during challenging times. And I'm happy to be part of their board and asked her if she would come and talk about those things.
Thank you so much, Mayor and council members. It's been since before COVID that I have been here seeing you all, so it's wonderful to be in person and see you. I have some goodies to pass around. If you want to take the shiny one, take one of those, and then one of the PowerPoints. And I'll do my very best not to read it to you, but just to point out a few things and get the conversation going. So all of us are wonderfully created so that we have the ability, our brains, our bodies, to be resilient. You've probably heard that term before, and it's not just kids, which is wonderful to see a young person here today in this council meeting, but it's beyond kids. Yes, you too.
Sorry, Jack, wasn't you.
I got the toys.
He started his toy
Better
and
off
you chased
for
the
that.
kid off.
Yeah.
So there's, all of us have the ability to bounce forward in the face of whatever life serves us up. And boy, COVID-19 was one of those things that really, I think, took us all off guard, right? And some of us are still feel like we're coming out of a weird time and we're learning to be human beings again in some ways. If I talk too much about COVID, I'll just hit it lightly, but it is related to our mental health, which we all have. And what we need to do is figure out more ways to grow that mental health so that we can bounce forward more easily when stressful things occur, which we all have, right? So that's what my main role as the CEO of Mental Health Recovery Board. We're a local governmental entity, much like you are as a village, and we are also a taxing authority, so we raise property tax revenue to invest in mental health services, mental health facilities, housing, long-term employment supports for people in recovery from mental health and substance use concerns, and so on. We serve, by the work that we do, we have an 18-member board, which your mayor is on our board, representing Madison County and the village, which is wonderful. Howard Maynard Jr. is the other Madison County, you may know him, board member, and we are also representing 3 counties. So if you flip the page on this paper, we are a 3-county board. So Madison joined Clark and Greene that had merged previously. And so the idea is to keep administrative functions, which we are. We're an administrative body. We don't have any doctors at our office that deliver care or case managers and so on. So we're very lean, we're small. There's only 10 of us across the 3 counties. So the majority of our funding goes out in the field to contracts for services. Supportive services, like I said, prevention services in school to help kids prevent the onset of mental illness or prevent or delay substance use problems from ever occurring. So that's what we invest in and prioritize. And so we have had unprecedented federal dollars, like you guys, I'm sure, ARPA dollars that you have access to, and state and federal dollars that we hadn't anticipated. So we're using our local dollars last, maximizing all that other tax revenue to bring more services into the county. So the main service providers are pictures of their logos here, just so you're familiar with who they are in Madison County that provide care. This one you may be the most familiar with, MHS. It doesn't spell it out, but Mental Health Services for Madison County. They're located at the backside of the hospital, Madison Health, in London. And so they receive the largest portion of our levy dollars to deliver that clinical care. They have psychiatry and doctors, case managers, and so on. And so I included at the last slide Kelly Rigger, their CEO. She's been there now for several years, but hopefully you'll have a chance to meet her, and maybe even she can address you at some point to tell you more about what they're doing. One service I'll tell you they've grown is family therapy, and they have had the most referrals from Madison County for those services. So families saying, hey, we'd love extra support. We've got stress, we're dealing with problems, and we want to have resources. And so those families are being seen, and they're delivering that new service. So it's really cool. So they're doing, they've applied, we've helped them apply for some additional funding. We're hoping for bigger dollars coming in so they can expand more. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They do programming throughout the county. They do advocacy on mental health issues. And so people are having trouble navigating the system. Maybe you have a loved one that has mental illness and is just not getting hooked up to services. NAMI can help. There's someone that you can call, and they will show up and help you, shepherd you through that process, and the person who may need care. Have you heard of Madison County Prevention? Amanda Hampton, you may know her. She may have addressed you before. She has done a tremendous job of expanding services in the school and training and helping people understand what we're talking about and getting everybody to be comfortable responding maybe to someone who's in crisis. How do we navigate the system? How do we build our resilience to feel better? And then also Madison County Family Council. That's a really important group of governmental leaders. Amanda Morgan is the coordinator, and she does a tremendous job. She brings all folks together across the county, and governmental, nonprofit, all kinds of things to see how can we do this work better. There's a big baby shower going on. for people to go to. There's a lot of funded supportive things for families and for community members through Family Council. So if you aren't a part of that email blast or listserv, she's one to be on. You'll get tons of great information about what's going on around the community beyond Mount Sterling. So the next page, I just gave you some stats. We often talk to employers, and we work with the chamber too. I know the gentleman mentioned working with the chamber, and we work with other groups to get to businesses, because businesses are feeling the stress, the great resignation, all the people maybe showing up but really being preoccupied with what's happening at home. Because of that, we know there's just a lot of folks that are dealing with mental health concerns, 1 in 5. And most people don't tell their employer that they're struggling with something, right? You may see it in absenteeism, maybe in performance or productivity, or people checking out, or maybe, absences. And so we try and provide some resources for businesses to help their employees identify the concern, help their HR folks and so on, to have some programming to help their employees stay employed and as healthy and well as possible, because that's critical for their family, right? And their livelihoods. And then this COVID-19 stat, there's tons of stats out there if you see it. During COVID and after COVID, we know that there's more than ever a need, and people really asking for help maybe for the first time, and you may have that in your own families and your own lives. I know me, I've been working, I told Marcy my personal story, but a family member that I love very much, I've been working on for years to get to help, and he's finally seeking help through therapy. So that has been amazing. So taking advantage of those moments when you have a little open door and you rush right through and help someone through the next step is wildly important. I'm going to check here. I don't want to talk too long. My little timer went off. But there's a lot of mental health and substance use risks. I have them listed there. I don't have to tell you all these things. We have a lot of polarizing things in our communities, and people may be at odds and sometimes forget how to work through difficult things and calm down before, engaging in being respectful, and saying it's okay to disagree. And those things just kind of pile on and add on to whatever we're dealing with in life. And so, just reminding yourself that you can tune out of, the media blurbs that keep coming on. I mean, I was checking my phone while I was waiting to talk. I was getting little news alerts and wondering what the weather was doing and, all that kind of stuff. But sometimes, tuning out, giving yourself permission and your family to turn it off and not hear that negative blasting all the time is a good thing for all of us. So just be mindful that, we've been through a lot, and there's a lot that we're dealing with coming out of this, and it's going to be like that for a minute. So there's resources, again, on the next page that I just wanted to point out for you. Tips for resilience, I won't go through those now. If we skip over to the Responder Resilience Program, this is for people that have been doing this hard work, not just your typical first responders, sheriff's department, police and fire, but all other kinds of public health workers, and all of you as elected officials. We got to keep our leadership healthy and well if we expect them to make really good decisions and take care of lots of other people that have challenges and needs. So this is 3 free sessions. All of you are eligible. So I'd encourage you. It's anonymous. You make a phone call. Adam is usually the guy in our office that'll take the call. He'll ask you for your preferences. It can be very discreet. Your employer doesn't need to know. Your family members don't need to know. And we'll connect you to care within 3 to 5 business days. 3 solution-focused sessions, and help then for the next step, whatever that is. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to be sick or really ill to use it. We encourage all of you and are promoting it with public groups like yourselves, because we appreciate your public service. And the warm line is just a peer support line. That is trained people who've lived through mental illness and on the recovery side of things, dealing with it through their lives, and now are back. People with substance use concerns that are on the road to recovery and doing well. They're certified and trained people to do this work. They just pick up the phone and they're a listening ear. That's a new service we added during the pandemic with some federal dollars, and people are using it, and Madison County people are using it. So we're getting lots of calls from here, which I think we want to keep in place, hopefully to prevent a crisis from occurring and get people pointed to where they can go for help. That's 24/7, and that's the little blurb there at the bottom. My info is on that last page, and there's some Madison County specific resources. Our office, we aren't the crisis line. Like I said, we don't deliver the care, but we make sure that the care that you find meets quality standards, is working, and when it doesn't, we troubleshoot. So we get calls all the time troubleshooting problems and saying, you know, what are we missing? What care is not working? Where are the gaps? And believe me, your mayor shares those with me, and I appreciate that very much. And we have a really good working board, lots of different people from all walks of life and experiences that really make great decisions. So I want you to know you're well represented on our board, and I appreciate your leadership very much. So I would entertain any questions that you may have for me.
Do you have any veterans, are they able to call this when they're under combat stress?
Yes, absolutely. So I would say we have a large portion of veterans in our area. And I would say a couple different options. If you go to this page, at the top, if they're in crisis, I would call, immediate, if they're threatening suicide, for example, calling 911 or 988 is an option. And they'll get to crisis services and a live rescue if police need to show up. The text line is open if people don't want to talk, and sometimes men more than women prefer to text rather than pick up and call a line like that. Texting is available. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, it's 988 now. It just made the switch in July. That's the national, it's the alternative to 911. They're still working out the kinks, so it's not 100%. I recommend if you're a veteran and you're maybe suicidal in crisis, I would call that 1-800-273-TALK, and they have an option for veterans. Press 1 if you're a veteran.
I'm glad they have that for them, because there's a lot of them that's come home from Afghanistan and areas.
Yes.
And they gave it, I appreciate you.
I think that
Absolutely.
20% number potentially is very low.
I know,
Yeah.
I think so too. And, the
It's low.
9/11.
It peak and valley, of course, but I think it's potentially low.
Yes, and the 9/11 recognition and honor of those whose lives were lost and the response. Sometimes those kinds of events can bring up some stuff for people who have served, and it might be difficult for people. Yeah. So,
Anyone
thank you.
else? Thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us
Opportunity,
today.
yes, anytime.
Thank you.
I'd love to come back. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Rebecca Brown, 14720, State Route 56 Southeast. And she's here to discuss crosswalks, adding crosswalks throughout the village.
First, I just want to say thank you to the council for everything you do. It is appreciated by the village, even though there's a lot of complaints and things, what you do is very important for our town. And I just want to let you know, my name's Rebecca Brown. I do live outside the village, but my family and the Girl Scout group and PTO and our cheer, softball, a lot of activities and events we participate in town. One of the biggest concerns when we're doing activities in town is the safety of the children. We have a very cute, small, quaint town, but we get a lot of traffic through that town. So I wanted to bring awareness and possibly, propose that we add some crosswalks in the main square, and with the crosswalks being better paint on the streets, some lights, signage, things like that. I'm not sure where to start with that, but kind of just bringing awareness to it, I figure would be a good step. I'm gonna kind of keep this short and sweet, so that's my kind of request to the council, is to look into possibly putting some new crosswalks in the main square for the safety of the village people, and mostly for our children, so we can really be looking out for them and advocating for them.
So I head up I chair, rather, I don't head up anything. I chair the street committee, and we agree with you. So this past, I guess it would be the September meeting, we discussed actually replacing all of the crosswalk, the stickers. They're technically stickers, but we'll put that aside. They're all worn down and no one can see where they are. So we have actually talked about that, as well as replacing and updating all of some considerable number of stop signs as well, which is a huge problem here too. So yes, we agree, and I'm always open to meeting with any resident or non-resident or person who's invested in our town and figuring out where we need to do a better job. And so downtown is one of those places that absolutely I agree with you, it needs to be dealt with, and we have allocated money to do that, and I'm hoping to work with our brand new village administrator to get some of this done relatively soon, because we agree. We have a pretty busy fall, as you've heard tonight, and we need to take care of some of this. So I would love to work with anyone who has any comments about where things should go. We always have an open door policy about crosswalks, stop signs, lighting, any of that. If it's not working, we need to figure it out. And we always work with our sheriff's department as well around speed control and things like that. So we agree, and thank you for coming, and we'll start working on it.
And the street meetings are held once a month?
A good point. The street meeting is held once a month, as Courtney has just said, then our next one will be October 5th.
At 8 a.m.
October 5th. So this will be on the agenda for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing an audience tonight, too.
All right. That takes us to executive session, which we have none. And now we're to sheriff reports. Sheriff reports.
Sheriff
Department reports. Sheriff, Mr. Dill, would you like to just?
All right.
report there?
You guys got the nature report in front of you. If you notice there, it goes over to the backside this time. Looks like there's 137 calls for service minus the 17 that are fire EMS that they had here in town. So, does anybody have any questions on this?
Just a comment, I noticed that there's one for juvenile complaint, and hope to see that go down to 0.
Nah,
We've
it's,
had a heck of a time over the summer, and, yeah,
unfortunately, it's not a new thing. It's been in this town for years.
hopefully back at school. We're all back at school.
Right, and you would think they would go down, but right now, with school just beginning, they're making new friends, so they're getting together in town. Once snow starts flying, that's when these will go down, and then they'll pick back up in the spring.
I noticed the traffic stops too, 31, so it looks like you guys are really at it now.
They're working hard.
Yeah,
The guys are working hard. Also, parking violations, they're still looking out for those, taking care of those. I know there's 3 of them that aren't listed on here that I was able to take care of just knocking on a door without having to put a tag on it or call it in or anything like that. And your van on Houston Street, that was taken care of,
Yep, it was.
just knocking on a door, so. Any other questions?
The only thing I have, on the violation for village ordinances, that's Mount Sterling, correct? Mm-hmm. Because I'm matching that up and it's right on target with the spreadsheet that we have that we're working on. So we thank you for doing that, and
You're
we're
welcome.
getting ready to do another update. I don't think you'll see 10, because I think, I believe 4 or 5 of them have been resolved already, so.
And
thank you
some,
for doing
most of the
that.
time, that's all it takes is, but
We
then
like to
you,
call first, we don't like to tag, but we will if we need
yeah,
to.
and you'll get the ones that you'll have to keep tagging and tagging and tagging and tagging. They forget every month, so. Becky knows. Frustrating, isn't it?
Just keep on keeping on.
That's
All you can
it.
do. Yep, thank you.
Hey, no
Any other
problem.
questions for Jack? Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't believe we have a law director report, and Misty will be at the next meeting. Just a little side note, our part-time gal has worked about 3 weeks now, I'd say, off and on, and seems to be fitting right in and doing a great job. She did tell Misty that she did have an upset stomach and had a hard time sleeping last night because she knew Misty was coming back from being off, and she was afraid that maybe she didn't get as much done as Misty would have liked, but she did a wonderful job.
Good.
So,
I have a question.
really glad to have her on board.
I have a question with that real quick.
Oh, yes, please.
Water bills, was there any delay this month?
No,
Because-
yours is on your mailbox out here.
Oh, okay.
It's been there since last week.
Well, my dad hasn't
It's
gotten
not
his
late.
either.
It's
They
not
were,
late.
they were right on, I think they were right on the first, and then that, of course,
Got
there was the
mine last
holiday, so,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
So she probably should send you guys a text or an email or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go get it.
Yeah, it's out there on the mailbox.
All right.
On your mailbox.
All right, village administrator, Mr. Byrne.
Thank you, Mayor Donington. Just a few things. We're getting a lot of things done that have been sitting out there for a long time. We did get all the valves on the extra
exercising list. Those are now complete. We'll wait on their report to see if they want us to do anything else. It's a good thing to have knocked off. I met with the state today on the reducing the speed limit down in front of Mason Park from 55 down to 35. The guy there said he will make some calls, and he did make some calls, and they called me at lunch and said nobody answered. But he did send out some emails and stuff.
Can I add something to that? When you do talk to the state, can you ask them about Wingate too? The reduction of Wingate, because a recommendation came out of the Safety and Street Committee about the reduction on Wingate too.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
We got Marcy got a certificate of recognition today awarded to the Village of Mount Sterling for efforts taken to protect the community's source of drinking water through completion of a drinking water. So we'll get that hung up in the lobby there, something to be proud of. Good job there.
Nice.
Some good news.
Just a couple other things. We towed a truck out of our shop today. It had been in there, I don't know how many years, but, so I got that towed out. We're gonna get new brakes put on it and we got it started again, so we have another truck to the fleet there. And we took the 2 trees down out front this morning. And just things like that that need done, you know, that just been put on the back burner. We're getting them done. That's all I had tonight there.
Very good. Zoning and building, does anything come from West Jeff Way for us today?
So, due to volume, I don't have August numbers complete, but I'm gonna go ahead and give you what we have up till July 31st. So residential permits, we've issued 99 permits, 21 new dwellings, 7 commercial. We've done 10 zoning permits, and year-to-date, 2 variances. So we've done really well. And I know office, the numbers are big, so
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I didn't have the time.
That's awesome. Anybody have anything?
No.
Okay. That's you, fiscal officer.
Me.
Yes.
Okay, I don't have a lot. I assume most of you guys will cover it. I know Andy will cover most of financing stuff in his report. You guys, I don't have any questions from anybody in regards to the financial reports. Again, we are winding down the year, so we only have 1 quarter left, 1.5 quarters left. And we will be talking about budget. We've been talking about budget for the last 2 months now, so those will keep, for the public's, purpose. Make sure you look at the website, as we will have some work sessions for budget. We will be having probably some additional committee meetings to talk about budget. So just be looking forward to that on the website if there were some changes there. And if no council members have any questions, I would ask for a motion. Bank reconciliation. We received, you will see an adjustment on your bank reconciliation form. This was a check that was returned back from the water department, so there was an NSF. So that was a larger than usual one. But everything's been reconciled to the penny, and every penny has been accounted for. So the motion that I would ask is the approval of the appropriation status report, the revenue status report, the receipt listing report, the payment listing report, the comparison of budget and appropriated, the cash summary by fund, the REIT report, and the bank reconciliation for the month of August of 2022.
You have that motion.
Is there a second?
I have that second.
David, Joyce?
Roll call?
Bill?
Yes.
Joyce?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And then I will circulate 2 of your signatures here, and then of course your signature on the bank reconciliation.
This is you, correct? This one. We'll be
Am I allowed to sign this with pencil?
My pen. Forgot you had a pencil.
I see.
Okay, committee reports, finance, Andy.
We met on September 7th at 3:30 to start, the process. Every fall, we have to get together and decide what the next year is going to look like, just like pumpkin spice comes back in lattes. And
I'm not ready for that.
I'm not ready for that either, but just like clockwork, we got to get going. I don't have too much more to add other than what Courtney was saying. We will be scheduling some extra stuff, but obviously everything is in the open, and you have my commitment to leave copies, physical copies. If you want electronic ones, we can get them to you as well. But physical copies for anybody who wants to read any of the materials we're considering at a meeting will be in the lobby. We're in the usual spot. Right when you come in the front door, there's a glass display case. We usually leave things on top of that. And if you would like to see copies of like the recovery plan or a draft budget, we will continually refresh those, and copies will be out there for any resident who wishes to look at what's in a budget. And it's done completely in the open, and we're committed to transparency throughout this entire process. So I'm optimistic in the sense that we will continue on a pretty solid path. I think that this council has worked together pretty well to set reasonable goals. I will say there is a bit of caution in the sense that we are looking at a revenue increase of only about 3.5% next year. That is what's forecasted. Could be less, could be more. But I think everyone in this room and who's listening tonight recognizes that inflation is closer to 10. So I just wanted to get that out there. We don't have the power here in front of you to just automatically wave a wand and raise taxes, nor would we ever, I think, do that without going back to voters. And so we have to walk a really, really, really fine line, especially when we get curveballs like, inflation. So that's why I'm asking for residents to come out, understand what we're actually considering, understand what's in those budgets and what we're working on for fiscal year 23, 24, and 25. So you'll see a lot that goes into the next couple of years. We're also, as a priority, trying to save some off to the side. Obviously, we have a very large water tower project, and we have other capital improvements that probably need to be made. I'm thinking about 3 streets in particular, which we need to do something with just repaving. So any of those things alone will be a fair chunk of change, and we need to be very thoughtful about how we do that. There's a piece of legislation here tonight which talks about granting the authority to the mayor to apply for, accept, and enter into an OEPA water supply loan. Again, I want to reemphasize, this is not necessarily the path that we will take. We're going to look at all of the options in front of us, whether that's paying cash, whether that's getting a different loan, whether that's going for another grant, whether that's going for cookie sales. I don't care, bake sale. We will do whatever it takes to get the best option for the village. My personal preference is to never borrow money. And I've said that 1,000 times, but ultimately the options are what they are in front of you. We need a water tower that has to be built, and we're on that path, and it will get done. So along those lines, I think that's all I have for finance, and we'll see you around the horn for streets.
Okay,
Actually, the next finance meeting will be October the 5th at 3:30 p.m.
thank you. Pleasant Township, David?
Yes, we had our meeting on Tuesday and last weekend. They talked about preparing for snow for this winter. I know people hate to hear that word, but they're preparing. Talked about continuing with the weed spraying and paid some bills, and that's about all we completed. And we'll meet again in October.
Okay, thank you. Squad, Rob?
We are going to be meeting on the 14th at 8 p.m., so next council meeting I will have an update for you.
Okay, Bill? Fire?
As usual, we read the minutes and we signed a bunch of checks.
Oops, sorry.
Every month when I go in there, I sign more checks than what I signed my name when we bought our house. About 3 times the amount.
That's what it's like.
On the station modifications they was wanting to have, they actually had no bids put in on it. So they're gonna modify the modifications, if that makes any sense. They're gonna make them smaller and get them done in stages rather than at one time. The generator's been repaired. Engine 492, the body repair has been made. It's going to an alignment shop, and it had some other, the engine had some other issues other than the mishap that happened. It tore up the building and anyway, they're gonna put another wiring harness on it. A wiring harness for a car is very expensive, so you can imagine what it's gonna cost for a fire truck. On the building repairs, insurance, there's an insurance issue. They're saying it's gonna cost more than the insurance adjuster said.
And you got, hired 3 new firefighters, 1 part-time and 2 pay-per-call, which are volunteers. And our next meeting will be September 29th.
Okay, thank you. Water, wastewater, Becky.
Yes, we did not have our meeting this past week due to little new immediate projects that needed tended to. As Tom reported already, they are out there exercising the valves, and I think that all went fairly well. And so our next meeting is going to be October the 5th at 2:30.
Okay, thank you. Street, Andy.
We met on September the 7th to go through what our pothole Phase 2 project will be for the fall. Tom is going to work with the paving contractor to get new estimates. We got a couple of existing estimates, which would repair an open issue at Nutrient and an open issue for a sidewalk, and then obviously our project on Cliffview, which has been hanging over. We are placing an additional order for signage. As I mentioned tonight, we have a lot of signage that we need to get replaced. We continue to chip away at that. And then we're getting ready to do some street sweeping. So hopefully, we'll get you an announcement sometime soon as to when that might actually be scheduled for, so we can get village ready for moving cars around, things like that, so we have a plan around street sweeping. Other than that, I believe that our next streets meeting is, as I mentioned, October 5th at 8 a.m.
Yeah,
All right, so we have a motion that we would like to ask. You want to
yeah, I can
talk
read
about it, or?
So this is a motion to change traffic pattern with placement of stop signs. And those stop signs would be at the intersections of Friend and Market, Jefferson and Market, and the alley between the firehouse and Sunoco. So, this alley right here between the firehouse, that's only I believe it's a 2 or 3 stop sign, intersection. That will make it now a 4-way stop, okay? So these traffic, changes with the motion and approval from you guys at council, again, that's Friend and Market, Jefferson and Market, and the alley between the firehouse and Sunoco.
Is there any questions in regards to those?
Are
Those
these
came
all
up
gonna
in
be
2.
four
Yeah,
ways?
we had a lot of community input on these.
Those came up
They-
in 2
they-
committee meetings.
Yeah, they've occurred now twice, and so we've definitely got a lot of resident feedback about the traffic patterns have never been quite like this before, and they really would like some speed
We had a
reduction.
lot
They
of
like
requests.
the stop signs
Yeah,
down New Street.
down New Street, right?
And they wanted to make sure that, it was consecutive, going down in the side intersecting roads, is that, the curbs are not painted back, as far, so people that are, going to the church, they're parking very close to the stop sign, so when you pull out, you can't.
And Market as well. There's large sections of Market where you can just essentially rip down from O'Day and go all the way
It's
down.
became a very big
You have an issue.
safety hazard.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're listening, heard you, and
Right.
I'm very supportive, and I hope the rest of the council will help us on this.
So is there, somebody to place that motion?
I'll give you that motion.
I'll certainly second that.
Rob, Andy,
Roll call?
Joyce,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
and Bill.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you. Parks and Rec, Becky.
Yes. Well, we had our last movie night, and it went really well. It was a fun time. I want to thank again the First United Methodist Church came out and donated cookies and water for the kids. And I want to thank again my wonderful committee. Bill and Rob have been real troopers through all of this madness, and I mean, sometimes it's madness out there. And they've been troopers and played right along with the kids, and it's been a really great time. Hate to see summer kind of winding down, but I do want to mention that we raised $820 now over our events. That's our movie nights, just selling a little bit of concession, and our softball event we had out there. And tonight we want to make a motion to donate that to the Parks and Recs Committee.
You want me to say the motion now?
Sure.
Okay, so this motion is to approve $820 in donations from summer events. This is donations to be restricted to Parks and Rec funding for revenues and expenditures only.
Is there a motion?
Do that motion.
I'll second.
Rob, Bill? Okay.
Roll call?
Becky?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And Joyce?
Yes.
And
Motion
then, I want to say thank you. Just this past weekend, we've been having, people reserve our little shelter house out there. And, I don't give Jeff enough praise. I know you guys do sometimes. But he's been really keeping that immaculate out there. And, just this past weekend, Logan Chandler, had her baby shower out there, and Kathy Shaw, who's her mother, gave a $100 donation to Parks and Rec. She was just so delighted with how clean and manicured and everything that it was out there, and they really appreciated it. So I do have that $100 to bring to you tomorrow. I forgot to get it from my shop. So can I make that
Let's make a
motion
motion
tonight
Yep.
to accept that $100 as well?
Yep, so this would be a motion to accept $100 to be restricted as a donation to the Parks and Rec Fund for revenues and expenditures only.
You have that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
David, Rob?
Roll call?
Rob?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Joyce?
Yes.
And Becky?
Yes. And the committee is working really hard. Environmental engineering, Steve, I believe was his name, came out, met with Tom and Bill, and he was out there flying his drone last week. And he said we're expected to probably get those pictures towards the end of this week. And what it was for is flying the drone over our property to see exactly what we own, exactly where we could build. We have this grant money and we have this other money that we've been raising. So honestly, we're about at $100,000 for our first phase 1 of our projects out there that we're getting ready to start. And so environmental engineering is going to put together, hopefully, a nice plan. I don't know how many years it'll take to get all of our goals out there. And then we're going to see if we can get the community to come on board to help with some of those plans once that's all put together. So we're really excited about that, and we welcome the community to come out and give us ideas. We have a lot of great ideas, but we'd love more. That's something we're working really hard on. At our last meeting, we did pick out memorial benches. The first bench will be the Michael Starr bench that we've already received a large generous donation from. So we'll be purchasing those really soon, once we figure out where the concrete pads are. We did receive in a bid for the concrete pads, which the committee felt was a great bid and accepted. So we are going to try to move forward with that once we know exactly where they're going to go. We did receive a bid on the fence too. As you know, out there, a lot of those fence posts, the fence wasn't put up correctly initially. It's all,
It was put up, it's just, everything's worked up.
yeah. So we got a bid. I thought it was a really good bid, but we're going to try to get one more. But the person that did the first bid thinks it's going to have to be completely taken out, putting crossbars and stuff down under in the ground and stuff. So we're looking to do that. We're also looking to soon, hopefully, with help from the village, to work on our parking lots. So we have a lot of big plans out there. So I'm really, really excited. So you'll be hearing a lot more about that soon. And let's see here. So our next meeting will be October the 5th at 7. I know the 6 o'clock slot opened up, but if 7's still better for you, we'll keep
Either
it at
or.
7.
Either or. It don't matter.
Well, if it's either or, I'd prefer to move it up to 6. Is that okay with you two?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the meeting will be at 6 o'clock on October
Look for the website too.
the 5th. And I think that's all I have for now.
Okay. Record of retention, Andy.
Yes, we met last Friday and went through more records, which are stacked right there in the hallway. So as you see, they keep piling up, and this is a good thing, because a lot of those are ready for exiting the building, so that's awesome. Our next meeting will be, I believe, October the 7th at 8 a.m., unless, shouldn't be a reason why we wouldn't get together, but October the 7th at 8 a.m. is the plan.
Thank you. Nuisance and abatement, Joyce?
We met on September 7th, and everyone was present. We reviewed old and new tags. I believe that the report reflected from the sheriff, they delivered 10 tags, which coincides with the spreadsheet that we've created. And so far, as of today, at least 3 of the tags that were issued have been resolved. So that's, progress. That's progress, and we're pleased that these people were able to step up and take care of the issues. We're gonna be issuing, unfortunately, some more tags this week, and with every tag will be stapled to it will be the ordinance, and that will that will ensure that the residents that are getting tagged understand why. I don't have a whole lot more. We did get a new one today on a noxious weed situation. And I want to reiterate too, before we issue a tag, we go through, Courtney and I usually get together, and then Tom and I have been trying to meet weekly, and phone calls are made. We always want to try to resolve any issue with a phone call, and Courtney's been very effective with that. So we will continue on that. Tom's following up on some for us. I will get the tags back to you tomorrow that we'll need issued for this week. Our next meeting will be October 10th, before the next council meeting. I'm going to be out of town the first week of October, so we're going to have that October 10th at 6 o'clock, and I did consult with the committee, and they're okay with that. I don't think I have anything else. It's been nice, it was nice today getting with Courtney and mulling over some things about our committee. I'll just leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Safety Block Watch, Bill?
See, I take much better notes when I'm just sitting in a meeting when I'm trying to chair it. We talked about the stop signs on Market Street. That's how that come about. There had been a situation where people were parked over an area of Market and Jefferson Street, and one just sitting in a car. And when one person went out to check on them, they sped away real fast. And unfortunately, they didn't take down what kind of car it was. They get no description whatsoever of anything. And the same situation right around the corner on Jefferson Street, an area of Market Street, where somebody was out there apparently taking pictures of properties in the area, and nobody, once again, got any description or anything of the person or the car or what they was driving. I know we talked about we didn't really touch on the failed ordinance. We're pretty much done with it for the time being, and that's one thing I got right there. We talked a lot about it. We didn't talk about a lot of stuff, but we talked for a long time about the same stuff.
You'll have that from time to time, won't you?
Bill, is there any thought for the committee to maybe look into safety? I talked to this about Dave. I got a resident who was asking about whether or not we were interested in having safety patrols at Halloween. Because last year we had, due to the weird way the calendar worked out, we had a ton of folks who were from outside of town.
Oh, yeah, did we?
And that was surprising to some folks. And it was packed. And so I didn't know if any of your committee would consider some additional foot.
Yeah, we're going to have another meeting before Halloween, and I'm here to tell you, we will definitely put that on the
We
agenda.
had spoke on it.
We did speak just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's always been a tradition, which we've always
Absolutely.
had.
Yeah, we've had.
And it's a
I
good,
had
safe tradition.
I had a resident on Spring who was very concerned about her garage had been broken into before and didn't know if that was associated with Halloween and all that stuff. And foot patrols have always helped a lot, just to keep eyes on stop.
I know when I was younger and during Halloween, I never broke into anybody's property, but I was a little mischievous.
Sure.
Of course, that was a century and a whole millennium ago.
Jack, do they plan to have any additional, patrolling or, is it just?
I know you'll have 4.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and if we get several of the council people out wandering about, that'd be good.
That'd be great.
Okay, thank you. Planning and zoning, Andy.
Anything else that you'd like to add? We had a great session. Thank you for coming to our last one. I got an update from Christy on how we were going. We have some legislation tonight. This would adopt a general contractor registration. This is what every other village in the county does, and it's to essentially understand who's working on everybody's houses. Are they storm chasers, fly-by-night people? We have a lot of older residents who can't find reliable help, and so this is one way to keep tabs on that. And then the second thing would be, we've had a concern around swimming pools, unregulated swimming pools, around particularly wiring and fences. So we don't have anything which addresses any of this. It's not for baby pools, it's not for little collapsible ones, it's for permanent swimming pools. So that is, if you look at the ordinance, that's what that's there for. We've had at least 2 instances where extension cords are run, right next to the actual pool itself. Nothing safety protected at all, and there's running water and all of that stuff. So unfortunately, it's happened, and we just need to decide how to tackle it. And this is the committee's recommendation, which is a sort of a blended version of 3 municipalities. We kept it as light touch as we possibly could.
Andy, I got a question.
Sure.
Is this gonna stop some of these fly-by-night guys that, I know some senior citizens.
Yeah.
It's got ripped off by
Yes,
tree trimmers.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so the short answer is yes, so this would help with that. And that is the primary goal, which is if you're cruising through here looking to make a quick buck, that's a problem.
Or if you cut up the road,
Or yeah, absolutely, that's a good one too.
if
So
AEP comes in and they cut the road up, it becomes our problem.
it who's going to fix that one? Yeah, we got to. So I have a problem with that.
I have a question.
Sure.
So does this apply, let's say, to something inside your house too? Like if I want to just hang a new light in my living
No.
room?
No.
Because it's not, it just
I'm sorry, does what? The swimming pool?
contractor registration
Like if she's saying
thing.
electrical.
Yes, it would actually, but it's not for a resident, it's for a contractor.
Right, so the contractor basically is gonna be paying a $75 permit fee to work in our village?
It's not a permit fee, it's a registration fee.
Registration
So it's
fee.
good for a year, and its job is to, yeah, absolutely, understand whether that person is licensed, for example, and whether that person is known, who are they? And once you do it, you're done. Every other county municipality around here does this.
So the homeowner, let's just say Becky.
Yeah.
If she wanted to hire a person, would she ask if they are
I would.
permitted with the village?
Yeah, I
or
would.
Could she then also call here to see?
Absolutely, sure. No, this is all public information, and it's good for the consumer to know whether the folks that they're having work on their house know anything about working on their house. And that's the goal of it.
And usually, if the people pay that registration fee, they're reputable.
Yeah, so we have representation from the trades on our committee, and we went out of the way to understand, to make sure that this was pretty much business as usual everywhere in the county and everywhere else, because we were concerned about this. We're concerned about what the resident gets in terms of service, and we're concerned about, does it impact the trades at all?
But a lot of these
this was-
contractors are when you see people building on.
Yeah.
Obviously they would have to have some sort of certification.
Absolutely, sure.
You see a lot of those, if they do an add-on or they're building a deck or something like that.
Right.
I think we got the same question.
Yeah.
Can a contractor still work in the village and not be registered?
No, they shouldn't.
They should,
Right.
but
And that's why we ask residents
The only way to know
to,
is if they don't fill.
yeah, if they don't, or if we ask residents, gee, did you register with the village?
So-
Because if you work in
The resident may
London,
not say that.
or you work in Plain City, or you work in West Jeff, they all require registration,
Well,
so,
like if she needs a light changed,
right.
you're gonna call Dina.
Right.
Come change the light.
Yeah, but Dino's registered in London, so,
Does he have to be registered in this village too?
yes.
Okay, so I guess my only concern is like, if it's something small, like my light, and, you know, he's gonna charge me $50 for it, and then I say, well, you gotta go to the town hall and register, you know, he's gonna pass that cost on to me.
Well, first of all, it's registration, it's valid for a
For a
year.
year.
So it's not, I would hope that you aren't the only recipient of
Right.
some passage of cost, but okay. But I think that it's reasonable for a person to basically say, hey, if you're fixing a hole in my roof, are you licensed, bonded, insured, and registered? Otherwise,
President, how are you gonna know to do that? Like, if I want someone to come in and rebuild my deck?
We-
Well, they would have to come and pull a permit from.
Yeah, so-
We require it, once you
Yes.
start issuing the permit and the paperwork comes in, that's when we're gonna say, okay, we need your registration as well. It goes hand in hand.
Right.
Right, so if you got ripped off, if you have a hole and they put a hole in there in your ceiling, and
Okay.
they say, we're not coming back, then you, as a resident, should be notifying, you know, them, you know, West Jeff, and us to say, listen, if we get another you know,
Yeah,
contract,
more work here,
we don't
we have a
want Becky
problem.
to have a hole in her roof.
Right.
Is that gonna pertain to landscapers as well?
I don't believe so, no.
No, this is all like mechanical.
But,
Yeah.
in the case of a repair, let's say, not building a new deck.
Right.
Maybe she just had her steps had a board break.
And I
she's just
do.
having it repaired. Repair is not permit worthy, correct?
Usually, yes.
A re-
On a step, anything structural should be permitted.
How about insurance work, if say like they had
Insurance
about
work
4 or
for-
5 shingles off and or something
Yeah,
like
if
that?
you have this is what I was getting at with storm chasers who basically roll into town, say, I'm here to solve all of your roofing problems, and instead they punch a hole or they make it worse, or, you know, we have no ability to track them back down again, and the resident, you know, is left in a world of hurt.
We can
Excuse me.
add this information to the newsletter we've got coming up.
I would encourage residents to ask, absolutely,
Right. And then,
absolutely.
can you generate a report, like a month, can that be added to the monthly report, the new people that are registered once we start doing that?
We don't encourage, you know, we talk about like a repair or something or a light change. We encourage the people to make that application, and then it's the building official's discretion whether or not it's permitted work. Because I don't know, I mean, you know, you say a light change, that may be simple to you and I, but it might be wiring and types and sizes that's not so simple, that could be fire hazards in the long run. So we encourage the application, doesn't always mean you need the permit, or you would be charged for the permit, if that helps.
So are you saying, I know Becky referenced a light, what if it were a ceiling fan? We have to have a new ceiling fan put in. My husband usually does that.
To do the electrical wiring?
Yeah.
you
Maybe.
want a permit.
Maybe he didn't.
Wouldn't you want somebody certified to inspect it?
I don't know. I just, sorry.
Looking at a bunch of ceiling fans, I don't need anybody to inspect my work.
But I agree with this aspect of it,
I do my own work
Okay.
too.
making sure people are
But in that case, you would permit yourself, and you wouldn't have to register as a contractor.
Yeah, my main concern is storm chasers and the elderly, to be honest with you. We've had a heck of a
So
time.
it's not something we're gonna be monitoring and getting real fine-tuned and nitpicky on as far as something inside our home?
We will ask the trades to register, okay? And
Yes.
it is their they do it for literally every other village
Okay.
and municipality, not only in our county, but in Ohio.
Okay.
And so this is not something, you know, unusual, and that's why I say we had representation on our committee about whether this was normal, was it weird, was it strange, what's its purpose, all that, and we got very good feedback.
Now, just construction then, Andy, in other words, you can still do your lawn mowing service or something, or?
Yeah,
they- or-
absolutely, sure.
I just wanna make sure.
Not anything related to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else for planning and zoning then, and we could just?
No,
jump
other
right
than
into
we
ordinance?
did change the meeting schedule to once a month,
Oh, yes.
and I believe that and Courtney will keep me honest, I believe that our next meeting will be on October the 4th at 6 PM.
Actually, we have yeah.
No?
October,
So we've moved a meeting.
We've moved
to
a meeting,
the
excuse
fourth
me.
Tuesday of
Oh,
each month.
yes, thank you, I apologize. So,
So-
again, once a month, but it will be the last Tuesday of the month,
Yep, and then that
not the
20
first, so,
September 27th is
Sep-
what we have.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, so that does take us down to ordinances and resolutions, with the first one being what Andy discussed.
Actually, no, that first one is ordinance 2022-14.
Oh, sorry.
This is an ordinance to amend the village's fee schedule in sections 1242.08 of the village's codified ordinance. This is on the first reading. So this is basically amending your scheduled fee that you guys approved earlier in the year. This will now include the $75 for the contractor permit, as well as the $80 for the swimming pool permit. So this is just to amend the fee schedule.
Okay. Is there a motion for this ordinance?
I'll give you that motion.
I'll second.
Rob, Andy?
Roll call?
Rob,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Joyce,
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Okay, that takes us
Passed on the
to
first reading, sorry.
Yep. Ordinance 2022-15.
This is an ordinance adopting a general contractor registration policy, and this is on the first reading.
And this is the one he was just talking about.
Yes.
You have that motion?
I'll-
Is there a second?
I'll second.
David, Andy? Okay, Andy,
Yes?
David,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Joyce,
Yes.
Becky,
No.
Rob?
Yes.
Passed on the first reading. And the next one is ordinance 2022-16. This is an ordinance enacting section 1271-11 of the private swimming pool regulations. This was the change that Andy spoke about.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll give you the motion.
Andy,
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Joyce?
Roll call?
Okay, David,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Joyce,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Andy.
Yes.
Okay. You want to continue with the next?
I'm sorry, I thought I heard something, okay. Resolution 2022-06. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to apply for, accept, and enter into the Ohio EPA Water Supply Revolving Loan Account. Agreement on behalf of the Village of Mount Sterling for the design of the 150,000-gallon elevated storage facility project, AKA the water tower, and designing and dedicated repayment source of loan financing. This is on the second reading.
You have that motion?
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Joyce, Rob?
Roll call?
Bill?
Yes.
Joyce?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Okay, and that is the it of
Okay, that takes us to a roundtable. I appreciate everybody's patience. Anybody have anything for roundtable?
I have only one comment, and that is to give some kudos to the nuisance abatement committee. I got feedback from 2 residents who got their issues resolved, and thank you for doing that. It is noticed.
Thank you.
I want to mention, September the 24th is our annual street market. That's where the big road closure's going on. I have talked to Tom, and I'm going to give him some specific requests, and I know the sheriff's department's aware of it, streets will be closed that day from 7 a.m., I think, till 4 p.m., so it'll just be a one-day, partial day. But the street market is a lot of local entrepreneurs, so there'll be 40 vendors out on the street. There'll be a car show. There'll be food trucks. So go out and support and look around. There'll be a lot of fun stuff, and I'm sure, I mean, it's scary, but I'm sure there'll already be Christmas items out for sale. So, you know,
Dollar General today.
Do you need a motion to close the street that day?
it's already been approved.
Okay.
So, so that's happening. I am getting ready to leave for Florida. I'm scheduled to come back the day of our next council meeting, but you know how flights now are. So hopefully I'll be here on Monday, the 26th, but if not, you know, I'll give a call, and hopefully I'll be excused if I'm stuck at the airport. Seems like there was one more thing I wanted to say, but it's gone now.
Anyone else?
As one of the commanders of the American Legion, You notice all the flags are half-mast. One of our greatest allies was United Kingdom, and I want to recognize Queen Elizabeth. She was quite a patriot in Great Britain, knighted all four of the Beatles, I gotta say that. But she will be missed. She was a great lady and a great ally for our country. I also want to bring up, it's emergency month for September. Always be prepared to have a flashlight, water, and extra food, because you never know what's going to happen, and be prepared for that. And that's all I got.
Yeah, I did the trick that you see on Facebook, all you Facebook people, where you stick the flashlight in your milk jug. Man, that's pretty amazing. It's like, it really does illuminate very well.
I was unaware
Yeah,
of that, I
stick it on
guess.
top of your empty, like, milk jug. Turn your light on, and it makes it like glow. Like
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Do you put like a candle in it or a flashlight
Just
or?
turn your flashlight on. You might have to like widen the mouth a little bit, but you just, turn it on, set it up like that, put your,
So you're saying it has to be empty?
yes, Andy, of course.
Is that,
There's always that one person.
don't shine the flashlight through the jug that's full.
You'll be surprised if people don't, a blizzard or something comes, they have no blankets or anything.
Yeah.
And so, I even got a flashlight with a happy face, so.
Just gotta make sure it's empty.
Yeah, I had something, I just wanted to, I got a short remark here. I promised to say something about a roundtable. I'm going to drop, after I say this, I'm going to drop the subject, period. In our last meeting, we were visited by Sheriff Sweeney. He had some comments about the pending ordinance about carrying guns into town hall. He commented that there were laws in place to keep us safe in the event of an active shooter in the town hall. I agree, there are. There are all kinds of laws in place. All those are in effect. Those very same laws were also in effect at Sandy Hook, where 20 families had to bury their babies. In Uvalde, Texas, where 19 families had to bury their babies, and a couple of teachers also. And that's just a couple of instances out of several. And I would be actually very interested to hear what the sheriff would say to all those families. I'm certain it probably would not suffice. The ordinance is tabled for now. It may be reintroduced probably in 2024 at the earliest. I'm not trying to shove guns down anybody's throat. I use knowledge and common sense to combat fear and ignorance. When I say ignorance, and I'll say ignorance, but I don't mean that as a derogatory statement. Ignorance is merely lacking knowledge or understanding. That's all it is. But in closing, while fate inevitably took precedence in that night of that vote, I congratulate all those that were in opposition. You knew what you had to do. You sought out the weakest among our supporters and managed to change their mind. Job well done. That's all I've got to say about that.
Anyone else at this point? I have a few things. All right. First of all, village newsletter. I need your information. We need it so that we can have it ready for the street fest. So I need it. Where are we? Oh, I forgot mine. Looking at the right calendar. I need it like probably by the end of next week.
You need it, no, the 24th is a week from Saturday, so, yeah, you need to have it by,
Yeah, and then within the next week and a half,
yeah.
please get that information to me, about your, if you know things that are going on, your committee work, that sort of thing. Definitely will get with you in regards to, and Andy in regards to the, yeah, that sort of thing. So just get with me, if you would, please. There still is the summer crisis program going on through September 30th, so if you know anybody that needs financial assistance towards their electric bill, have them reach out to Misty. I believe she made some copies for the front, but in case, somebody doesn't know, it's just help from the
I'm
government.
sorry, is that the only utility that it applies to, is the electric?
It says electric,
Okay.
yeah, so, for, I think right now, but grab the paper out there and.
I will.
Yeah.
these probably should be put out front.
Yeah, I've got some
for
more of those
people
I think
too.
she gave me, so we'll do that too. Also, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and we all know someone that is fighting cancer, and I hope you don't know any children that are fighting cancer, because it's just the most horrific thing that you can even imagine, especially if you're a parent or a friend or a grandparent. I've got a couple people that I know. I was telling Andy, this lovely lady, Molly Oldham, she's not from our county, but I've followed her for a while. I actually interviewed her in my office right after I became mayor, because I was helping with a book that we're still trying to get pulled together. It's sad though, but you start interviewing the kids, and then before you get a chance to get a book put together, they're no longer with us. I mean, out of all of the cancers, children's cancer gets only 4% of any dollars that are coming from any of the government, and it's just it's awful, it's horrible. So I'm going to tell you to go out and support those people. This is not in our village, but it is in our county. On September 26th at the M&M Diner on 665, right as you're going into London, they have a fundraiser that goes for their Rockin' on the Run, which is their that helps brain cancers for kids. The price is $12. It's cash only, and you just drive through, and they won't take orders. You get in line, and when they're out, they're out. But if anybody wants a copy of this, I'll be glad to give it to you. And in closing, I would just like to say this is a good group of hardworking people, and according to our bylaws for the village, I would like to say that roundtable is used for good, positive comments and observations. And with that, we are adjourned.
Can I say something before you adjourn? I was on your cancer, the
Yes,
children's
please.
cancer. I'm going to have a hard time saying this without breaking down. One of my childhood friends, as I was growing up, we had to bury his 10-year-old son. Ate up with cancer. I don't know how many surgeries the little guy had, but I'll tell you what, when you walk into that funeral home, it's one thing you walk into a funeral home and there's an older adult laying there, but when it's a 10-year-old boy, that really messes with you.
Well, it's Molly Oldham. If you're on Facebook, look her up. You will not regret it.
So.
Oldham. I was telling Andy, she just had her 21st birthday after having 2 rounds of brain cancer. She had a make-a-wish type of wish granted to her, and what she did is she set up a gala where her guests came dressed, they bought tickets, and during this gala, there were rooms that were set up with different organizations that help kids with cancer, families with kids with cancer. She is a singer, and she's going to college to sing, perform, and she just found out, not even a month, I don't believe, after the gala, that the cancer is back for the 3rd time. This time, it most likely will affect her vision. And so now that she's an adult, she's 21, things change. I mean, she's in charge of her own life. And just look her up. And there'll be a link to her mom, Bunny Oldham. And she writes some pretty amazing things. I mean, if you just go be a troll, scroll, and read some of those things, and then go hug your kids and your grandkids. Okay?
Speaking of hugging your kids, your grandkids, I just want a real quick comment about 9/11. Yesterday marked the 21st anniversary, and so many, we all get a little jaded after time goes by and we forget. I took a lot of time and watched a lot of those really sad stories again yesterday, and just make sure that all of us were old enough to remember exactly what we were doing and where we were, but our children weren't. So just make sure we pass on that to our children. They're not always taught all of history anymore, or some things are brushed over. So it's our responsibility to make sure, those things aren't ever forgotten as well.
Thank you.
Thank you all for staying late and being great council members. I really appreciate you.
I fell upstairs. I fell upstairs.
Fell up the stairs.